What happens when a beloved television star finds himself caught in a spiral of assumptions and missteps that erupts into chaos on live TV? Today, we're unpacking one of the most jaw-dropping moments in daytime television history. When David Boreanaz, the actor who captured millions as Angel in Special Agent Seeley Booth, clashed head-on with Kelly Clarkson in an explosive exchange no one saw coming. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill awkward interview. This was a full-on meltdown that left the audience stunned, questioning whether they had just witnessed entertainment or something far more personal. Before we break down exactly how it all unraveled, hit that subscribe button and drop your thoughts in the comments. By the end of this story, you'll have your own opinion on who was truly at fault. It started innocently enough. Just another episode of the Kelly Clarkson Show. Kelly was her usual upbeat self, ready to joke with David about his career and charm the crowd with her easy warmth. The studio buzzed with excitement. Fans of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Bones had waited years for this. Kelly greeted him with her trademark enthusiasm. "David, it's so wonderful to have you here. I have to admit, I was a huge fan of Bones. Honestly, I think I even had a little crush on Booth." The audience laughed. David smiled politely, but there was something a little guarded about his demeanor. "That's kind of you, Kelly. The show meant a lot to all of us," he replied, his tone measured, professional. But Kelly wasn't ready to move on. "I mean, the chemistry between you and Emily Deschanel was incredible. Be honest, was there ever a spark off-screen?" The room shifted. David's smile thinned. "Emily is a consummate professional and a dear friend. We had great working chemistry, but that's all. She's married, I'm married. We respected that." His tone clipped, firmer now. Kelly, either missing or ignoring the signal, leaned in with a grin. "Oh, come on. Fans always wondered if there was more. You can tell us. This is a safe space." Laughter rippled through the audience again, but this time the energy was different. Uneasy. David's jaw tightened, his eyes narrowed. "No, Kelly. I'm not being coy. I'm being honest. Suggesting otherwise isn't just false. It's disrespectful. To Emily, to our families. I came here to talk about my work, not to feed gossip." His voice rose, sharp, enough to cut through the tension in the room. For a beat, Kelly froze. Then she laughed lightly, brushing it off. "Whoa. Okay, I touched a nerve. I didn't mean anything by it. I was just having fun with the fan theories. But speaking of relationships, there's something else I wanted to ask." She paused dramatically. The air tightened. Rumor has it there was tension on set during the later seasons of Bones. Some say the cast had serious disagreements about the show's direction. Care to clear that up? David's grip tightened on the arms of his chair. His stare was unblinking. "Where exactly are you getting this, Kelly? Because this conversation is heading somewhere I wasn't prepared for." His voice was strained, his composure visibly fraying. Kelly's smile flickered, but she pressed on, a spark of determination in her eyes. "Oh, you know how Hollywood is. People talk, stories spread. I'm just asking for your perspective on what I've been hearing." David's voice dropped, low and tight. "What kinds of things exactly?" David asked, his voice low and tight with barely contained frustration. The audience could feel the shift, the earlier laughter replaced by an uncomfortable silence that pressed heavy against the studio walls. Kelly leaned back in her chair, her smile brittle, her tone slipping into something sharper. "Well, for example, I've heard there were heated discussions about certain storylines, particularly around your character's development. Some people have said you weren't always the easiest person to work with when things didn't. Go your way." Her words cut through the air like a blade. The audience stirred uneasily. David didn't move. His expression hardened, his voice dropping to a dangerous quiet. "Sources?" he repeated. "What sources would those be, Kelly? Because it's starting to sound like this interview was built on false pretenses." Kelly rushed to respond, but even she seemed to hear the hollowness in her words. "Oh no, David, that's not it at all. I'm just trying to give the audience something real. People want authenticity, not just the polished Hollywood version." David's voice rose, the calm precision of a man who'd spent years controlling his image but was now done holding back. "The real me is a professional. I've worked in this industry for over 25 years. I don't have to defend my integrity to a talk show host who thinks ambush journalism belongs on daytime television." The audience shifted in their seats, some looking away, others riveted. Kelly's face flushed, but instead of retreating, she pushed forward. "Look, I'm not ambushing you, but when you're in the public eye, people want to know what really happens behind the scenes. And frankly, some of the people I've spoken to paint a picture of someone demanding, someone difficult when things didn't go his way." David shot to his feet, the scrape of his chair against the floor echoing like a gunshot. Gasps rippled through the studio. "Are you saying you've been digging for dirt on me? Conducting some kind of investigation before inviting me here under the guise of a friendly conversation?" His voice thundered, his composure cracking. The only sound was the steady hum of the cameras, still rolling, capturing every second. Kelly's eyes widened, caught off guard by the sheer force of his reaction. But instead of backing down, she doubled down, her voice thinner now, but stubborn. "David, you're overreacting. Every host does research. This is just normal interview preparation." "Normal preparation?" David's incredulous laugh carried across the silent studio. He stepped closer to Kelly's desk, fists clenched at his sides. "Normal preparation is knowing someone's projects, their career highlights, the stories they choose to share. It's not blindsiding them with gossip and half-truths in front of a live audience." Kelly tried desperately to steer back into safer waters, her voice straining for calm. "Okay, I can see this struck a nerve. Why don't we just step back and talk about your new projects? That's what people came here for." But David cut her off, his words sharp as glass. "No, Kelly. We're not moving past this. You don't get to throw around accusations about my character and then act like it was all in good fun once you realize you've crossed a line." The silence was suffocating now. Audience members exchanged nervous glances, some whispering, others frozen in place, transfixed. Behind the cameras, producers waved frantically, unsure whether to pull the plug or let the chaos play out. Kelly swallowed hard, her confidence faltering, but she forced the words out anyway. "David, you're taking this the wrong way. I admire your work. I was just trying to have an honest conversation. Sometimes the truth isn't comfortable, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about it." David's eyes burned into her, his voice a low growl that carried more weight than any shout could have. "You don't want the truth, Kelly. You want a spectacle." David let out a short, bitter laugh, one with no trace of humor. "The truth, Kelly? You don't even know what that word means. You've built this entire line of questioning on whispers from faceless sources. Do you have any idea how reckless it is to smear someone's professional reputation on national television with gossip you can't even prove?" "I'm not spreading gossip," Kelly shot back, her frustration finally breaking through her practiced calm. "I'm asking legitimate questions, questions based on credible sources in the industry." David's composure snapped. His voice grew louder, his restraint gone. Credible sources. Name one. Just one person who's actually worked with me who said I was difficult. Go ahead. Say a name. Kelly opened her mouth, but no words came out. The silence stretched, thick and suffocating. The audience sat frozen as it became clear. She couldn't or wouldn't answer. That's what I thought. David's tone dripped with contempt. You dragged me out here, ambushed me with second-hand gossip, and now expect me to defend myself against accusations you can't even substantiate. Kelly's face burned red. Whether from anger, humiliation, or both was impossible to tell. Look, David, it's not unreasonable to ask about your work relationships. You're a public figure. People are curious. There's a difference between curiosity and character assassination. David snapped back instantly. And right now, Kelly, this feels a hell of a lot more like the latter. The camera zoomed in nervously, cutting between David's fury and Kelly's flustered attempts at control. The audience, once lively, was dead silent, as if any sound might ignite the powder keg on stage. I never said anything about character. Assassination? Kelly protested weakly. I was just trying to show people the real David Boreanaz, the man behind the characters. By questioning my professionalism? By suggesting I was difficult to work with based on nameless rumors? David's hands trembled slightly. Whether from anger or adrenaline, no one could tell. His voice cut like glass. That's not journalism, Kelly. That's tabloid garbage. And frankly, I expected better from you. Kelly's composure shattered. My reputation's on the line here too, David. You're the one melting down on live TV because I dared to ask tough questions. Maybe the real issue is why you're so defensive, if you have nothing to hide. The words hung in the air like a toxin. The studio seemed to stop breathing. David stared at her, stunned into stillness. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, almost calm. But it carried the weight of barely contained rage. Nothing to hide? He repeated slowly. Kelly, I've built my entire career on hard work, professionalism, and respect. Not once has anyone I've worked with accused me of being unprofessional. And now you're sitting here, telling me my refusal to dignify your gossip somehow proves it true. The anger drained from his face, replaced with a chilling calm. He took a long breath, then fixed her with a stare so intense the entire room leaned forward. Listen to me carefully. I came here as a favor to your producers. I was promised a lighthearted conversation about my career. Instead, I've been dragged into an interrogation built on rumors you can't back up. That's not just unprofessional, it's cowardly. Kelly's jaw dropped. Cowardly? David, I think you need to calm down. You're blowing this out of proportion. Calm down. David's voice cracked like a whip, making audience members flinch. You accuse me of having something to hide because I won't play along with your smear job. And now you tell me to calm down? Do you even understand what you've done here? Do you have any idea how this looks? Kelly's last thread of composure was gone. Her voice shook. I was just doing my job. Sometimes that means asking hard questions other people won't ask. David's laugh was sharp, joyless. Your job is to make your guests feel welcome, to entertain, not to ambush them with cheap tabloid garbage and call it journalism. And the fact that you think this qualifies as hard questions tells me everything I need to know about how far this industry has fallen. He turned, walking toward the edge of the set, as producers waved frantically in the background. But then he stopped. Slowly he looked back at Kelly one last time. You know what the most disappointing part is? I actually respected you before today. I thought you were one of the good ones. Someone who understood the difference between entertainment and exploitation. Kelly's face crumpled ever so slightly, the weight of the moment finally sinking in as the reality of what had just happened pressed down on the entire studio. "David, please, can we just start over? I obviously misread the room here, and I apologize if I made you uncomfortable." But David was already shaking his head, his decision clearly made. "No, Kelly. We can't start over. You can't unsay what you've said, and you can't undo the assumptions you've made. This interview is over." He reached up and unclipped his microphone, the small action somehow carrying enormous weight in the stunned silence of the studio. "David, wait!" Kelly called out, standing up from her chair for the first time during the segment. "Please don't leave like this. We can edit this part out. We can reshoot whatever you need." David stopped at the edge of the stage and turned back one final time, his expression a mixture of disappointment and disgust. "Edit it out, Kelly? That's exactly the problem. You think you can say whatever you want, cross whatever lines you feel like crossing, and then just pretend it never happened when there are consequences. That's not how real life works, and it's certainly not how professional relationships work." He looked out at the audience, many of whom were now openly staring in shock at the spectacle unfolding before them. "I apologize to all of you for having to witness this," he said, his voice softening slightly as he addressed the confused and uncomfortable crowd. "You came here expecting entertainment, and instead you got to watch someone's reputation get dragged through the mud based on anonymous gossip." With that, David Boreanaz walked off the set of the Kelly Clarkson Show, leaving behind a stunned host, a speechless audience, and what would undoubtedly become one of the most talked-about television moments of the year. Kelly stood frozen at her desk for several seconds, clearly unsure of how to proceed, before finally sitting back down and looking directly into the camera with an expression that mixed defiance with uncertainty. "Well," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I guess that's not exactly how any of us expected this conversation to go." The cameras kept rolling for a few more seconds, capturing Kelly's bewildered expression and the confused murmur of the audience before finally cutting to commercial. But the damage was done, and everyone in that studio knew they had just witnessed something that would be replayed, analyzed, and debated for months to come. What started as a simple, friendly celebrity interview had devolved into a masterclass in how quickly things can go wrong when assumptions are made and boundaries are crossed. The question that everyone was left asking was whether Kelly had genuine information that justified her line of questioning, or whether she had simply gotten caught up in the excitement of potentially breaking some kind of exclusive story and lost sight of basic professional courtesy in the process. So, what do you think? Was David Boreanaz justified in his explosive reaction to Kelly's questioning, or did he overreact to what might have been innocent curiosity taken too far? Was Kelly out of line with her research and her approach, or was she just doing what any good interviewer should do by asking the tough questions everyone wants answers to? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe for more shocking celebrity moments that you definitely won't see anywhere else. The truth is often stranger than fiction, and sometimes the most explosive moments happen when you least expect them.